It's a hoax, folks. We never did it. Never landed on the moon. It never happened. I'm Seth Staple, and this is my argumentative speech on why we have never gone to the moon. I have many arguments. I'll list them off. We never went because we wanted to beat Russia. It's very easy for the government to tell many people to just hide a secret. We know that. Weird lighting, sudden changes in gravity. Why have we never gone back? Neil Armstrong's never written a book or wrote a book about it. If you look online, there's not very many interviews. Radiation is way too high to travel outside of our atmosphere that far. There's multiple encounters, and I'll begin. Many people believe that the reason we faked going to the moon was so that we could beat Russia in the space race. Now, at the time in 1968, when we have claimed to go to the moon, we were in a big thing called the space race with Russia, and it was to see who could get farthest out of our atmosphere, right? And so they started with Sputnik, and Russia sent a Sputnik, which was a satellite, first one into the space. And then the USA comes out and said, the president at that time comes out and said, by the end of my term, we will have landed a man on the moon. And everybody's like, that is one heck of a crazy thing, right? And the whole reason we wanted to land a man on the moon was to prove that we were better than Russia to Russia. Because during the space race, there was a thing called the Cold War going on that was mostly just hearsay about rumors of Russia bombing us or us bombing them, or just a bunch of he said, she said, which was the Cold War. And we wanted to win the space race so that we would be dominant. Our bombs would be more strong, because if we could send a rocket to the moon, then we could definitely kick Russia's butt, right? Okay, well, my other argument is weird lighting. In the pictures, I don't have any right now because I don't have any projectors, but in the pictures you'll see an image, right? Or not an image, an object. And you notice how there's lighting on this side and nothing on this side? Well, that's because we have one light source and I don't have any lights turned on right now. And that's the sun. So the sun would just show up one thing in my shadow, right? There's also a shadow right here because of the sun coming in this way. I have a shadow being cast right there because of the sun coming in this way. Well, in the pictures on the moon, there's many objects with shadows being cast not only this way, but also this way and this way, because it's lighting on a set, which it does look like lighting on a set. The video is posted of a bunch of reasons why. Also, I've linked a movie that I believe is very good. It's called Conspiracy Theory, and it's on Netflix. I recommend you to look at it. In that particular movie, there's many things said by a scientist that has come out of NASA and said that we did not go, which is also overwhelming evidence. He has evidence saying that there's too much radiation from the sun coming off to even build anything that would be able to withstand that and not come back and get cancer or something more serious. Which the government isn't that hostile to send somebody in. Or maybe they are. But I believe that we never went, and it's impossible to get through the radiation, as that scientist says. Also, there's a video of Neil Armstrong flying a replica of the lunar landing, trying to land it on our gravity and Earth. Now, the difference between our gravity and Earth and the moon is huge, and it's hard to find calculations and numbers that tells you what the gravity is actually like on the moon. But in that video, Neil Armstrong almost crashes the lunar landing pod that's like just a replica, and he's flying it. And right as he's about to go out, you see a parachute pop up, and it's Neil Armstrong, and he floats down to safety. But if Neil Armstrong can't land a lunar landing on our gravity in Earth, then how is he ever going to get it right first try landing on the moon? Seems a little weird, doesn't it? Okay. Now, many people have arguments against this, saying, how would they be able to keep that many people quiet? Well, that is a good argument. But how is the government able to keep hundreds of thousands of veterans quiet about the missions they have to do every day? They come home, they're not able to tell their families about it. It's because they're all patriots, and because the government, quite frankly, would kill them because it's government secrets, right? How hard could it be to do that to a bunch of science NASA nerds, right? And many have come out and said that it never happened. And another thing is, I believe that a lot of the people working on it believed they were actually doing it too, because they only monitored their one little piece of the rocket ship. They didn't see that it was going all the way to the moon. And then just the few overhead of all those people knew that they weren't actually doing anything. It was just a fake simulation. Also, there is a laser that NASA has that they claim they shoot at the moon and it bounces back, and that's because they've placed reflective material on the moon. Really? I mean, come on. Okay? The moon, we know, is made out of reflective material. The sun hits the moon and it bounces back off onto us, and that's how the moon is lit, right? Well, NASA claims that when they shine their laser, it bounces back and they receive 30% of the laser's light. And it's a very, 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 very bright laser. Like, if you point it at anything for over a certain amount of time, it will start it on fire. So it's a very strong laser. So it seems to make a lot of sense to me that if the moon is made out of reflective material, they could shine it up and then it would bounce right back, because it is. I mean, we can see that when the sun bounces light waves off the moon, it lights up our night sky, right? And that's most of the arguments that I have seen against it. Other than that, just mostly people, well, I was sitting there and I watched them send them right up and it was all on live television. And I'm like, okay, you know what? You may have been sitting there and watching it, but to be honest, how would NASA stream something that far away? Okay, the radio connection wasn't even that good. How would they live stream film? Okay, we didn't even have cell phones at that time. You still had to stand next to a wall with a cord that hung over across the thing. We did not have the technology to go back then. And now we have technology now, but we have not gone back because it's bad for the environment and the moon. Do you really think NASA is not going to run tests because they think it's bad for the environment and the moon? Nothing even lives on the moon, as we know, because we've never even been, so how would we know? And that's about all I have. I recommend you watch that Netflix video. Like I said, in closing, it's a hard topic, and there's no for sure evidence that we've never made it. A bunch of this is just evidence that you are going to have to make a decision of yourself. So, did we or did we not land on the moon?